Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another off season with your host Ren from the University of the Bahamas Relations Department. And today we're interviewing head coach and our first head coach ever, full-time, fully paid coach for the University of the Bahamas Mingos, Mr. Ednal Rolle. I apologize for my lateness. I had to get this room open and set up. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Again, you will get your full 30 minutes. We won't skip out on that for anybody. And we're hoping to learn a lot about what Coach is doing to make our brand better. So without further ado, the great Ednal Rolle. Ednal, you can hear me?
Yeah.
You look a little dark. You might, yeah. I mean, I know we dark-skinned lock fellas got to stick together.
Trying to get a little shade,
Yeah, I put the hair out in honor of you. I take it out today. So, Coach Rolle, it's my pleasure to interview you. I'm here at the Moral Club. I had to get off the road. I didn't want to do the interview on the road. But
yeah, I see that.
So let's get straight to it. I can see you. Let's just confirm everybody you could hear us. Just making sure everybody can hear us. I see there's Mono logged in. Thank you. We have a lot of alumni logging in. Sorry, just missing show y'all my view. That's looking at some trees today. This room ain't cool on yet, but they always make fun of me sweating, so I used to it. So without further ado, Coach, and you notice that I have to say Coach Ednal Rolle every time, right? Because
yeah, I know.
It's a lot of roles. It's a lot of roles in the department.
Mm-hmm.
So where did it begin? You're a man of many talents. You have had this week all of your athletes talking about how you're not only a coach who talks, but you literally run on the side of them. Where did your passion for coaching start?
Wow. My passion for coaching, I think actually started as I was an athlete. If many of you know my history, or those who know my history, as a hurdler, as a 40-meter hurdler. First, initially I was a sprinter, and then I went into hurdles. But at the time when I was being coached by Mr. Pancho Raming, there weren't many, or there were any hurdle coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have made my first junior team in 1994.
Okay.
Coach Cartwright, Junior Cartwright, would have assisted me, or would have been the hurdle coach for that team. But it started with me starting to like the hurdles, and I said I didn't have anybody to really coach me for the hurdles, so what I did on my own, I went and I got videotapes, the VHS, the VHS tapes.
Boy, yeah, you say in the 1990s, so I can imagine.
The BJs had, at the time, they had like VHS tapes that you could go and borrow, or rent out.
And tell us what is the B3 is. Break it down.
The B3 is the federation that governs the track and field here in the Bahamas.
Okay.
So it's the federation that governs the track and field here in the Bahamas, and they had tapes that, coaches could have actually come and use. So because I wasn't a coach, and one day I was in there, I asked, I say, I see all of this tape with hurdles. Can I borrow that, even though I'm not a coach? So I wanted, I had a VHS. I wanted to, so they allowed me to use it, and I used it. I look at some of the.
So Coach Rolle, I want to stop you there. You just admitted on a recording that somebody broke the rules for you.
Yeah, they broke the rules for me. I mean, because at the time, like I said, it wasn't many coaches at that time. It wasn't many coaches in track and field, and particularly any hurdle coach at that time. Because, you have persons like Charlton and Miss Woodside. Remember now, this would have been like the early 90s or the mid-90s when I would have done hurdles.
So I want to stop you there. I want to ask the next question that comes out of that. What is it that's driving you at this point? There's no prominent hurdler, I would believe. There's no hurdling coach. So what is driving you, Mr. Ednal Rolle, to want to become a hurdler?
At that time, you're talking about at that present
Yeah,
time, or?
at that time when you're seeking the tapes and you're looking for coaching, what is it that's driving you? Why are you so keen and focused on becoming a hurdler?
Well, at that time, I would have made my first junior national team. Okay, let me put it like this. I ran the 400 meters. This would have been I ran the 400 meters at the at nationals. This would have been my under 17 year. I
Hmm.
came fifth in the 400 meters in the finals. So
Okay.
of course, to go on a relay team, you have to be like in the top four. So I was looking at my chances of making the team at that time, the junior team at that time would have been, I would have been close. Either if I could get in the top four, top three, maybe two positions, it would have been rather tough. So at the time, Gardner, I was at CC, and Gardner said to me, "Why don't you try the hurdles?" So we started practicing the hurdles, and I just transitioned my quarter mile speed into the hurdles. I caught on kind of quick. I mean, I wasn't that much technical, but to run and jump over it, I was pretty much kind of jumping. So, but it was good enough at the time. I think the time was under a minute. At that time, I ran like 53 in the 400 meters, or 52, maybe 52 in the 400 meters. And so I said to run at the time, the standard for the under 17 was like 58, somewhere around there.
Hmm.
And I was able to jump good enough, not too much technical, and meet the standard to be able to actually win the 400 hurdle and make my first national team. And that's how I grew an interest on on um
I
on
understand
yeah,
now. So
So when
when
I
you say
built
you were not
it,
technical, I want you to rate yourself based on, the form, the checking your clock, everything you teach. What would you rate yourself back then and doing the hurdle for the first time?
say again.
How would you rate yourself, knowing all the form and the technicalities of hurdling now, having done it
Uh-huh.
for the country? If you could go back and remember that first race you did in the 400, how would you rate your technique
In the four hurdles, you mean? In the four
in the
hurdles,
four
I
hurdles?
would say
Yes.
I was a four out of 10. I would say
Wow.
40%. Four out
Okay.
of 10. But by the time as I made the team and was able to practice and like I said, when I made the national team, Junior Cartwright was the coach, and he was pretty good in the hurdles, so he helped me pretty well. So by the times I got to nationals, I would say I would have been up, not nationals, when I got to junior CAC, I would have been up to a 6 maybe.
Good. All right.
So and I was able to actually improve on my time and got fourth, almost got a third place,
Okay.
almost medal. So it all began then. And then after going home, actually Cartwright, I think that's when first went off to college. And like I said, Mr. Rahman was my junior coach, but he was not a hurl coach. So he would try to get some persons like Ms. Woodside or Charlton to come and assist me in hurls. And only once I can remember, both of them were able to help me because at the time they weren't coaching in track and field. Then
Right.
Ms. Woodside was with track, but not Charlton.
So continuing on that, you're making national teams now. You're running for
Mm-hmm.
the country. You came fourth, which again, I think for all athletes who even put their self on the field or on the
Mm-hmm.
track internationally, we appreciate you. What is next for you? Like, did the college invites like fly in? Like, what were your next steps?
No, well, actually, after making national team at that time, it was actually hard to get into those colleges away, especially um, in that time to get a scholarship, you had to be in one of the top athletes to get in. So at that time, I saw it as an avenue for me to be able to obtain a scholarship. I got, I was good in it. I started, and then I ended up being one of the top junior athletes in that event.
Hmm.
And I saw it as an opportunity for me to get off to school. And it worked well. It actually worked well because as I made career to team medals, and I was able to get a lot of offers for scholarships.
And what school did you go to? And tell us about your performance in college
Well,
athletics.
I went to St. Augustine's College in Raleigh, North Carolina. It's now St. Augustine's University. I was there on a full scholarship, track scholarship. Yeah, pretty much St. Raleigh, North Carolina, where I was, All American. I continued to make national teams, I progressed well. I improved. I improved from running as a junior. Under 17, I ran 56. Under 20, I ran 52 in the hurdles. And then in college, I was able to obtain 50.6 in the hurdles.
All right, we got Coach Shane shouting out the Falcons. He knows what he's talking about.
Yes, and all.
All right. So at this time, you went from a young man interested in something, to watching tapes and developing yourself, and of course, having collegiate times. So where does coaching come into mind? Where does now? I would imagine you graduate, you have your degree, and do you come straight back home, or what happened?
Yeah, well, I stayed in Raleigh for like about 2 years. I worked in Raleigh for 2 years, and then I came back home in 2004, where I continued to train and compete and make national teams. It actually started with Mr. Murray. Murray asked me to assist one of his athletes who had the passion wanted to do the hurdle, who was doing the hurdles at the time and was trying to make Caribbean team. She was beat out by Shanae and one of the other hurdlers at the time. I think Shanae would have been doing the hurdles too before she turned into a sprinter and quarter miler.
Okay.
And he asked me to assist. So I said to him, okay, let me finish out the season. Definitely next season I would be able to go in and assist him. And I think that's how it really all started. Where I started to assist her. And then after retiring from coaching, from running, Mr. Cash offered me a position at a private school, then Temple Christian, to teach and coach there at Faith Temple, and that's how it all started. And that first year when I trained the girl Murray, she didn't make the Caribbean team. I helped her with the hurdles, but the next year, after our first year, I was able to bring her times down, and thus get her to, make the Caribbean team. Me being in the same position, knowing that was my passion and my dream. So I know how it felt, and I kind of got a love for it then. Because, I actually have a accounting degree. After you had a accounting degree, I did auditing in the States for 2 years. And, even with and I always tell people, I say, while it was a good job, made money in accounting, but I found my passion when I coach. I found my passion in helping, particularly the young youths, because after that, of course, after she would have made teams, I got more persons coming to me to help them, assist them, and I kind of built a passion in that sense.
I'm curious. I'm very curious. There's two things you always say, right? And anybody who's been around, it. You say on the whistle, which I'm going to get into soon, but you also say stick to the program. Do you feel like maybe that's a mixture of that accounting and athletics, in that I've seen you many times look at an athlete and look where they are, and you develop a program where you tell them, if you stick to this program, this training regimen, I can promise you -2. Minus that. Is that a combination of both? Tell us about that. What do you mean by sticking to the program?
Okay, when I say sticking to the program, and I usually use trusting the process, it's like this. If you're under a program, if you're training with a coach, and that coach has you under a program, you can only judge the program, or if you stick with the program fully. If you're under my program and you're training with me, this is the program here. We're in a 5-day training regimen where we do strength training, if you're hurdler, we do hurdles, we do sprints. But then on Saturday or Sunday morning, you're going with another coach to do something else. Okay? So let me give a prime example. Let's say I have a time trial on Monday, but you're training with another coach. So the coach may or may not know what we're doing. Right? Or he or she, the coach has you to do something else. Now, I have a time trial on Monday where usually when I do my time trial, I give my athletes about 48 to 72 hours to recover. Because I want on that day for you to be at least almost at full strength to be able to get an optimum time. Because it'd be crazy for me to give you a hard workout on Saturday or Friday and then come back and ask you to do a time trial on Monday, your legs will be short. You won't be in full strength. So if you're doing something else with another coach on a Saturday, I don't know, then what I'm thinking is you're resting. So when you come on Monday to do a time trial, you won't be at your optimum because you're mixing. You understand what I'm saying?
Right, right.
You're doing something else contrary to what we're doing. So it's mind-boggling when I know, okay, well, how is it that you, on the time trial day, you're not able to do a good performance because you're doing something else, or you end up getting hurt because of what you've been doing contrary to the program. So that's why I always tell athletes, and even if you're looking for assistance, I be really particular when in helping somebody who's in a part. I may give you advice or say, well, maybe need but I would try my best not to go contrary to what you're doing in the program. I'd say, first of all, ask if it's okay for your coach to get advice or, if I can input. Because what that coach have you doing, I don't want to interfere with that. Just like even when I go on national team, I can't put what I've been doing in my program into another athlete who's been training with another coach. So when I go on national teams, I don't go there and say, okay, you got to do it my way now, and I'm the coach for this team. That would be crazy because you're part of another program. You have this training regimen. You've been doing this. It would be crazy for me to go and now choose.
It would be more like you ask them what you're doing, who is your coach.
Yeah, what you're doing, I monitor what they're doing, yes.
Okay, that's good.
So
I think that's excellent advice.
That's why I say, you have to trust the program. You have to, if you're gonna be, you gotta be in it fully. And when I do my recruiting, the first thing I ask the athletes, I want you to assure me that you want to be here, because once you commit, you got to be a part of the university's track program. Not, I used to do this in high school, and I understand under the new program. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
This is, you're going to be here, you have to commit fully. You have to trust the process. You have to trust the program, because you're no longer with the previous coach. You understand? So that's how I look at that.
I think these are all excellent points. I actually want you to touch on, of course, we recently interviewed, this was track week on off season. So we interviewed Ramika Josie and Tyler Gardner, who both of them spoke highly of you. And they said similar things you're saying. You're a dedicated coach. You're developing them. They stick to your program. Right now, Tyler cracked the joke of you telling them he got to go vegan. He said he ain't giving up the eggs. I'm telling you that. But I want to ask, when it comes to somebody who you've had more time with, and I'm going to use Miss Ramika Josie. She spoke of you being a coach from Exoma times and now. Having that type of experience or influence over someone's career, speak to maybe how you've seen her growing over the years. And just speak to her as a case study if you can.
Ramika, well, Ramika is somebody that when I taught in Exuma, that when I first came there, she came into to track and ran. I say, I think you would do well. And Ramika is someone who is coachable. Someone who listens. You have athletes that are coachable, and then you have those who not so much coachable. Particularly those ones who they're stuck in their ways. Or I used to do this, and So, I've had the opportunity to, and that's why I brought Ramika on, because I know her potential. She had good potential. She was one of those who trusted the process, who trusted the program. And I was able to see her progress. So soon after she finished school and I was at UB, I said, it'd be best for you to probably come over and
that's great. And that's great. And now I want to talk about the program. Before you're coming, the university was only known to have a track and field program. Now we have a track, field, and cross country. Speak to why you think it's necessary to include the cross country, and maybe share with our audience the impact that will have for the university.
Well, like any other institution, the cross country is vital because in the Bahamas we don't have that many distant runners. We don't have that many distant runners, and like and a lot of the athletes focus on the marquee events, you know, like the sprints. You know, so for the long, you know, cross country of course is long distance, but it's running a course where you're running up hills.
I wanna help with that. You didn't say cross country is good for the university. You said cross country is good for the Bahamas. So are you, from now to primary school to high school, now to college level, are you trying to say that you're building a team that one may enter at the Olympics?
Yeah, I mean you know, remember now, we're the University of Bahamas, so we represent the Bahamas. Carrying that name, you know, it's you're representing the Bahamas. Even when we get into where I can recruit international, we're still when we fly over, people be like, "Oh, you guys are from the Bahamas?" So carrying that name is, you know, is crucial. So, you know, as I build a program here at the university, I'm thinking the broader perspective as far as the Bahamas. You know, and in the cross country and the distance is one of the areas that we're weak in. So, I felt as though it's important to really, you know, to push those athletes who are good distance runners, or those, you know, to try to get them to have an interest as not so much just the sprints, but as well as the distance, because boy, cross country and distance, it ain't easy. It ain't easy. And then convincing athletes to want to be a part of long distance, it's kind of hard.
And we have a good example of that. Touch on Tyler. I saw Tyler run from day one, and Tyler 800 mile. You know, he was panting, he was tired, this and that. And then a year later, under you, of course, he's running the 1500 and killing it. And I'm like, bro, you struggle with the 8, but you kill it in the 16, and now you're doing cross country. Talk about that. When you say athletes doubt themselves, but what is it that you do to, I would say, convince them that, hey, you could actually do better and longer? What is it that you do?
I mean, the first thing is knowing your athletes. When I bring an athlete in, I always, what I do, I analyze an athlete, or, you know, I evaluate an athlete. Of course, we recruited Tyler as a 800 runner, 800 runner. But I saw the progression in him over the years. And, you know, sometimes it happens where, okay, you may not be doing so well in one, so let's try something else that you maybe could do better, or we could get a lot more, you know, more than I saw Tyler being a good distance runner. You know, he likes to run miles, and he's pretty good on keeping those average times as far as splits per mile. You know, because with cross country, the girls run about 3 miles, 5K, and the boys runs 8 miles, or 5 miles. So I saw Tyler to be someone who would possibly do better in 15 long distance, as opposed, I mean, 15 is middle distance, but as opposed to 800 meters. So,
and I want to say, along with this interview to support it, I think you made a wonderful decision. Because he agreed. Like,
he did well, and then now he's one of my top distance runners. He's actually the top male distance runner. I said.
Not to cut you at all, but I want to also touch what we mentioned in this interview, which was the only time, and again, ladies and gentlemen, you can look at this coach's record. You can look at what the university has been doing. We are a young program, you know. The university is only 3-4 years old. We just started. He's our first head coach. This ain't a head coach who's been there for 10 years, 20 years. This is our first head coach, you know, only been around for a year. And I still remember that first flight. You know, you've always been an assistant, but here it is, you're this new head coach who is fully paid by the university, the first we have ever had. I want to ask, one, did you feel the pressure of it? And two, I want to touch that pool incident, man. I made an error in saying that we jumped the gun too much times, but we maybe only jumped it once or twice. But it was like the next morning at the pool, Coach Ednal.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you remember. I came down there to take
Yeah.
pictures, and you was like,
Yeah.
Ren, put down the camera right now. There's no time for that.
Yeah.
I want to touch on the pressure of being the first head coach, and then talk about what happened at the pool that you did for your team that caused us to again come back even stronger that day on the field, on the track. Sorry.
Well, I mean, not to take away. You know, we had other head coaches. You know, me, of course, I'm the first head fully fully paid employed head coach, but you're not to take away from all the other coaches that actually, you know, help build the program or start the program.
And that wasn't my objective of all, but thank you.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, when they were Caribs or you know, College of the Bahamas. But you know, it is a lot of pressure being the first, and you know, for me, I want to build this program where it can be one where, you know, we can be proud as a Bahamian to say, wow, the university is making, you know, making their presence felt when we go to compete against other colleges. We're now having athletes that making national teams, and you know, so not to take anything away from where we were before, but the reality was we weren't looked at as a team or force to reckon with. You know, it wasn't that much attractive. If I was a top junior athlete, well, I don't know if I would go to no school with losing.
Right.
You know, when you're trying to recruit the best, boy, you better have something that you understand that they could say, okay, I could see myself being a champion, or I could see myself progressing there. You know, so my thing was just to bring this program to a point where it could be attractive to those junior athletes or those student athletes who would want to be a part of the Mingos family, a part of the program, and see themselves being a college champion or being a career qualifier, Olympic qualifier.
Right.
So, you know, that would have been my goal to really.
And I only have one more question. I want to open up the floor to the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, please ask your questions. We're opening up for the Q&A time. Coach Rolle is here. This is an expert in this field, and I think this is only one of many more interviews to happen with Coach Rolle. But I want to touch on, and you said that we're touching the track and now they see the difference. And I always reflect on that Hurricane Invitational, right, Miami Hurricane Alumni Invitational. And I remembered we were lined up. We had 4 amazing runners, right? Uric included. I remember Uric for sure, and a few others.
Yeah, Uric was there from we were Caribs.
Yeah, and we had we were lined up next to Team Bahamas, literally. Like, these were our Olympians, you know, and they were just trying to get their time for upcoming competition. And the pride I felt, bro. I mean, sadly, we didn't finish the 4th leg strong, you know. But the pride I felt knowing that, you know, our runners was toe-to-toe with the national team.
You remember the 4x1
relay? Yeah, but I ain't gonna lie. I mean, no insult to I think it was Clyde. Apologies if I mix it up. And, you know, he pushed it. Everybody did their part. But that 3rd leg, when I saw that gap, boy, I was recording. But I forget to record. I was like, oh.
Yeah, you had the chills.
Talk about that, because even at that moment, Shawnee for both teams stood up and clapped. You know, so talk about the pride that you feel for your athletes when they do stuff like that.
Yeah, of course that was a great moment, but you know, the work behind it is what's really important. You know, we have assistant coaches that helped with the program. So you have James Rolle. You have Senior Cartwright.
Okay.
You know, so they assist well with helping, growing, and preparing the team as well. So in that event where we with the relay team, we have relay practices. You know, so it's a part of our regimen that we do relay practices. You know, you may have somebody that can, and I'm one you know how kids are when young athletes, and when they usually come, they be like, oh, I'm someone who I usually run the last leg, or I'm best at the first leg, I'm best at starting. No, when I teach or when I coach, I teach you every leg where you have the pass and exchange. In the event that if I only was teaching you, or someone who say you only do ankle leg, and then what if somebody who got hurt?
Right, right, right.
And there's nobody else who could do the starting leg. And I say to you, hey, you're going on the first leg. And you say, oh, but I only do ankle.
Ah, I see,
You
I
know,
see.
so
So
it's like
you made
now,
them more versatile. You made
yeah.
them.
So I teach everyone to relate.
Ah,
In the
okay.
event I need you on first or second leg, you can't say, but I never run second leg. You didn't practice. That's why we practice it that's why we practice it. So where I could see who best in exchange, who could handle maybe the second leg, you may be able to run first and third leg, you may be a good starter. Because the reality, there are some persons who can't receive.
Ah,
No matter what you do, they always, I mean, they may get it once in a while, but these are the things you want to find out at practice. So I don't want to find it out. I have a good team on paper, and then you can't
yeah.
receive the baton. We never got the baton around. Because who wins the relay? The ones who get the baton around the
The
fastest, not
fastest, yeah.
necessarily the fastest team.
And
So it's
again, anybody who don't
mm-hmm,
know it, look back to that recording. That heat,
mm-hmm.
the baton passing, I would say. I think it was Yurik on the third leg. Yurik
Yeah.
tore it up. And when
Yep.
Yurik hit that third leg, everybody was
Mm-hmm.
standing. Ken just finished his race. Ken was
Yeah.
watching. The
But
national pride was there.
everybody held their own. But you know how the 4x1 is. You'll actually see what position the team is really in by the time it's the third leg. Is now everybody getting ready to come off the curve and get into the straight rail. Now you
Right.
see who really is in position. So everybody would have held their own who ran first and second leg. I think Anthony would have run second, and Ed Vaughan, not Ed Vaughan, if it was forget his name. Who was
I
one
think
of Ed Vaughan or one of the
I
one.
know who you're talking about. He was very
Javon
fast,
would
man.
have run the first leg. Javon would have run the first leg. Ed
Yeah.
Vaughan, Anthony second, you were
Yeah.
third, and
Clyde finished it off.
Clyde running ankle.
Yeah.
So my thing is always to get that baton around as fast as we can. As fast as we can, as best we can, where that baton does not slow down and you keep going, keep going, keep going. So all those teams that was hitching up and stopping and fumbling, even if they were fast at times, we get the baton,
It
we
was,
gone. Then you got to
just,
catch us back up, gone.
yeah, but
So,
I want to get off that
between the
glory
two.
horse. Anyway, that moment captured me. That moment catch me. Ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open for questions. We stay about 2 minutes extra beyond the interview to take on any questions. But again, this is Coach Ednal Rolle. This is somebody who's been in track and field, I would say, all of his life. He's still very active. And, there was something said all week. If you look back at Ramika Josie's and Tyler Gardner's interview, they call him old man, but they also say they hate when the old man beat him.
Yeah,
Tyler
he was
say,
said, Ramika don't call me old man, but ain't none of those girls can beat me in practice.
that's true. That's
So
true.
until they can beat me, they better respect me.
Amen.
Now
Amen.
the guys, now what I do when I run in practice, some days I come to practice ready to run. Because I say, because my thing is, when I was in college or when I was thinking, I said, I ain't gonna let my coach beat me.
Yeah.
So what I do with the guys, if they have a hard workout, let's say they have 300s, and they run the first 200s, and I got 3 minutes rest in between. That last one, I say, okay, guys, I'm on the line. So now, if you about to die, you're like, oh shoot, I can't let this man beat me. You understand what I'm saying? So it motivates them to say, well, I ain't letting coach beat me, but I have fresh legs and I'm a good condition.
So you not only coaching, but you're being smart. You catch them when they tired to teach them the
Yeah, when they tired, I gotta get up to the males. Now the girls I can run.
So
now
ladies
the
and
females,
gentlemen,
I can run them toe to toe.
So ladies and gentlemen, so the plan of this coach is, you gotta hear him clearly. He know that you're tired, and he doesn't race them at their weakest. He races them to make them stronger.
Right, only the males that is. Now the girls I can run toe to toe. I'm still fast enough, and I still got the hurdle technique.
We have Miss Josie rolling the eyes, boy. Miss Josie
so they have yet the girls on my team have yet to beat me outright. Now they're getting there now. They're improving. They're getting there. So I got to keep myself in shape. And I've really been working out during this quarantine. So when I come back, to make sure that they don't beat me easily.
What about Sasha? Could they beat Sasha? Or could they beat Miss Henfield?
But I don't know. I mean, Kenfield was in good condition last I seen her competing, so that'd be a tough one to say. But and feel in good condition now. Don't sleep on
Boy,
Miss
I
Enfield.
would like to see a four by one team, a you, Henfield, Sasha, and maybe we put Kim on the last leg just for fun.
Oh no, 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 we can't put Miss Jolie. She already have a. She went sprinting this weekend and text me about something about she feel a hamstring. No, that's
Oh
soreness. It's not
man,
hamstring.
oh
You
man.
can't go trying to sprint
Since we
after you
talking
already.
about injuries and we have
Mhm.
our athletic trainers here, talk about what having a full-time athletic training staff does for your athletes.
But listen, it does well. We have a good support system, and that's the good thing I love about athletics and UB in general. We have a good support system, and for me, and I had to learn this. Ms. Rule tell me, use your support, use your trainers, use Miss Cartwright and those who can help you, to do with these things that you plan, to do. And I really took that advice, and it really makes my job so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I know we always get this, and Sasha will tell you, track and field are the most neediest when it comes to the athletic trainers.
Amen, amen.
I know they say that 'cause it's not like
No, it's the
basketball.
truth. In your defense,
It's not
no,
like the
no.
basketball team.
Edna, they don't read our messages. They don't see nothing we putting on the chat and WhatsApp. All they see is when the ice bat ready
Uh-huh,
and when
uh-huh.
they open and close at the wellness center. That's all they be seeing.
Hmm.
So I believe you.
Yeah, so like I said, Sasha always saying, boy, track and field is the ones who always the neediest. Because I mean, it's because I guess because we're running, we're jumping, we're throwing. It's not like not to take away none from the basketball team, but it's not like the basketball team where someone can make a good bump or get hit hard, and then they could scrub them up and get them back on the court. With sprinting, you're vulnerable for hamstring injury.
Mm-hmm.
So getting an injury like a hamstring injury takes time, especially
Mm-hmm.
depending on the grade of or the level of that hamstring.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes time, and then with track and field, the trainers is important because my focus is really injury prevention.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always injury prevention. I always, the athletes is no good to you if they're injured.
Mm-hmm.
So
Speak,
Sasha and
speak, speak on that
them,
though. Speak on that
they
too,
play an
because
important role. They play an important role to keeping those athletes adjusted,
mm-hmm.
keeping them injury free to get those kinks out from because they're training. You're not the average person who just run, you're walking or even running on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
These are, think of it as high performance cars. They can't. They're not your everyday car that's just driving. They going hard.
Yeah.
They're working out there. So you're tearing down muscles to build them back up to get them strong. So in that process where we're breaking the muscles down, it's important that you have those athletic trainers to be there to help them to rebuild as they get stronger and get back to prevent injury.
I'm curious. I want to bring up only one case of course. And you know me, I'm a jokester. So I tease him. I did the dance at the Mangoes Ball, called it Javon.
Mm-hmm.
Because I couldn't figure it out. And maybe you can help me as a coach and anybody who's listening who's injury prone or sees themselves getting a lot of hamstring cramps. But
Mm-hmm.
as a coach, what did you do or what are you doing in a situation that I don't know, it's just profound. For some strange reason, every time Javon got on now, he got a cramp. Like what do you and what does Sasha do? What do you guys do together to kind of better that athlete who, okay, every time you perform you get it? Like what happens? What does this program do for that kind of athlete?
Let me put it like this. And then it's oftentimes what injuries will happen. It's one of those things. It's a part of the sport. And that's why I said my goal is always to prevent injury. It's always to prevent injury. But like I said, it's particularly for the sprinters. They're more prone to injury, and sometimes they could be doing the things they need to do. It might have just overworked themselves, or sometimes it might have been too much for that individual, and it causes injury. So my thing is to keep the injury down because I know that injuries is going to happen. So the thing is to keep those injuries down. It's just like like I say, a high performance sports car.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want that engine to blow, but sometimes the engine may blow. Now, what do
Mm-hmm.
you do in Japan to get that engine back, to get it back on the track to be able to go ahead and
Mm-hmm.
race again?
Mm-hmm.
It's an important thing. You understand? So, you know, it's one
Do
of
you
those
guys like
things
sit
where,
together? Do you and Sasha and the athletic trainers, do you sit in a room together and like change up the person's program?
well, it all depends on when they get injured. So if they get
Okay.
injured, of course, you know, she evaluate them and ask them what they're doing and and then she would advise me to advise, you know,
Oh,
to
okay.
say what they would do or let them come in and then they can't do sprinting until, you know, so it's,
Ah, okay.
you know, we have this, that kind of relationship. So, of course, they go to them to, as far as to get their adjustments, to do the ice bath and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that to prevent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only until someone actually get injured or have a, you know, an injury or kink or whatever that they go to them and evaluate what it is they do. That's their specialty. So, you know, I'm just there to get the athletes ready. They're there
Mm-hmm.
to prepare them and keep them injury free, or if they do get injured, to get them back so they could be able to
Excellent.
get back into the program.
Well, I'll
So
say again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Coach Roll. I would say this is only part one. We had track week this week. We want to invite you
mhm.
again, Coach Roll, because we know you have a
Okay.
big force. So we want to
Hmm.
do alumni athletes next time. I know this week we had two current, but we're looking at
Hmm.
doing two alumni athletes. Looking at
Hmm.
probably Amber and Uric,
Hmm.
and we're doing
Oh,
this again with you coming back so we can get more of these nuggets you're laying. But any
yeah.
final words you would give to any audience member, and we have about 5 minutes or less, but what
Hmm.
final words would you give for any person who's looking to get recruited from the UB Mingos program about what they need to do to get, especially after COVID-19, to get there and be a part of this program?
Um, well, you know, being first of all, being a student athlete, you got to be able to have to maintain the grades because our goal is to eventually have the athlete to graduate. You know, yes, you want them to reach their, you know, at their optimum best as far as in their athletic ability. Some, not all athletes will be professional athletes. Not all athletes will be a career champion or a collegiate champion or even a national champion. You know, so our thing is to for you to get here. But of course, we want to retain them. You know, it's one thing now where you're getting athletes in, but they're not staying.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're getting those athletes, and they're actually staying
And graduating.
and graduating.
Mm-hmm.
So that speaks volume to you know what we're doing here. So I would say, you know, first when I look for an athlete, definitely I need to know that you have the grades. Because I can't help you if you're not able to maintain your grades.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if you reaching the standards, because you know, like I said, we're getting ready to transition into the NAIA.
Mm-hmm.
So now when I recruit on the NAIA standard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I might see somebody that close to or may not reach that standard, but they have a lot of potential. Let me just give you an example. Like I was invited to Exuma track meet,
Mm-hmm.
and when you look at what the Family Islands student athletes have, they don't have all the equipments and all the facilities that they have here in Nassau. So I take all that into consideration. I say, okay, if they can do that with pulling tires and not having the sleds, not having the gym, not having a track, imagine what they could do when they come, and I could put them on a program where they could do the strength training, they could have the track, and you know they can do the long jump, they can now do the high jump, they can now use the circles for the short put or the javelin throw. Um, so it's just about them having to have that ability. I mean, not the reality is this is college.
Mm-hmm.
It's not high school where you're just joining a team and just okay, I need a drill because um they're an investment. So you have to be able, in order to, when we go NAIA, how it works is you have to meet the standard. First you have to meet the standard, and then let's say if they're taking 26 persons for the 100 meters, and we
Mm-hmm.
have about 40 people meet the standards. Only the top 26 person will go. So if I have somebody that's not in that top 26, they won't be able to go to the nationals to go ahead and compete for the school.
Right.
So you have to be able to first maintain your grades to be a part of the team, and then meet those standards. So when you come in, the goal is to maintain you or to get you up to standard and surpass the standard while maintaining the grades to be able to compete at the high level. Because
I don't want to cut you, but I know you have like 2 minutes. I just
okay,
want you to tackle these two questions.
go ahead.
How would you describe your coaching style, and what are your goals for the upcoming season?
My coaching style is pretty much, my key is progression. When I say progression, my style is that every time you run or compete, I want you to
you want a PR.
be
You want a
faster than the
PR.
time you were before.
So you want them PR.
Faster than, yes, faster than the time you were. And then I plan for to let's say, let me give a prime example, like for Ken and Kendrick.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we're preparing them. We were preparing them for January for the heptathlon, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So my goal is to get them at their optimum performance in January when it was time to go for them to try to break the national record, which, two of them was actually able to break the national record and rank second and third in the world. They actually surpassed what I even thought they would. So,
And you know what I'm going to do? We can keep going because everybody got two. I can give you two. So we can end this one, save this, and then we'll start up again. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take your questions. So we're going to end this and start the next one.